I talk a lot about investing in the stock market for the long term, which is a good thing. Most of us should be doing that. But I thought today, I want to talk about something slightly different, which is investing, or maybe trading is a better word, IPOs on the Bursa stock exchange. It has been, over the last few years, one of the most profitable trades that you can make with double or sometimes even triple digit returns. So I'll run through what IPOs are, my strategy for trading this, why I do this, as well as how you guys can get started with this. By the way, as usual, this isn't investment advice. This trade is actually quite risky. It can make you a lot of money, but it is still risky. You can lose money. So please do your own due diligence before you start or apply for any IPO. I'll share with you guys later on in this video about how you can do it as well. First of all, what even are IPOs? So IPOs, it stands for Initial Public Offering, which is essentially when a private company wants to go public by listing their shares on the stock market. So let's say, for example, my company right now, the Millennial Finance. Obviously, at the start, this is a private business that is fully owned by me. But let's say one day in the future, this becomes a major media brand. It's very profitable, it's huge, and I want to raise some money. So I decide that, I want to go through an IPO process so that any investor out there can buy shares of the Millennial Finance and have an ownership in it. So what I would do is I would apply for an IPO process and I will get listed on the Bursa stock market. This is just an example, by the way. I would probably never IPO the Millennial Finance. It probably won't even get to the stage. But anyway, yeah, every single stock that you can invest in the stock market, whether it's in Malaysia, in the US, in Europe, wherever it is, every single one of those stocks have gone through the IPO process at one point or another. So the reason that most companies do this is that they might want to raise some cash for whatever reason. There's usually two ways for companies to raise cash. One is to take on a loan. The second one is issuing some more shares or get listed on the stock market via an IPO. So let's say my company, I want to raise 1 million ringgit. I need this cash to expand my business or whatever it is. What I can do is I can issue 2 million shares at IPO at 50 cents each. People buy 2 million shares at 50 cents, I will raise 1 million ringgit. So what will happen is any individual out there in Malaysia can apply for my shares at IPO for 50 cents. And then when it gets to listing date, the share will just trade like any other stock out there. It can go up, it can go down. So what's my strategy in trading this? Basically, every year there will be a number of stocks that want to list on the Bursa Stock Exchange via an IPO. And for one reason or another, I'm not really sure why, usually what happens is on the listing day itself, which means the first day that it starts trading, it usually trades higher than the IPO price. So for those of you guys who missed it, the IPO price is the price that the company sets when they IPO, where any investor can apply for it and then pay that price. But yeah, for some reason in Malaysia, companies, when they go through the IPO, when it goes to the first listing day, it will trade higher. I'll share with you guys more stats about this later on in this video. Anyway, my strategy for trading IPOs in Malaysia is to sell the shares on the first day itself. So this to me, it's more like a day trade. It's definitely a trade, it's not an investment. But for you guys, if you want to hold on to these stocks for a longer period, maybe you think these companies have good growth prospects, it can grow further, you can go ahead and do that. Just as usual, make sure you do your own research. I'm just saying that for me, I treat this as something like a quick trade. In and out, try to get as much profits as I can. So what I'll do is, I'll apply for the IPO, and if I get it, I will wait for the listing day, and the Bursa stock market opens at 9 AM. I'll just wait for that to open, and as soon as it opens, I'll look for opportunities to sell. Most of the times, I will sell it within the first 30 minutes actually, but sometimes I could hold it throughout the day. But like I said, I will sell it on the first day. It doesn't matter whether I'm winning, whether I'm losing, even if it's a loss, I will still sell the shares on the first day. The reason that I do this is because I don't actually do that much research on these companies. I do research, of course. I'll share with you guys how I do it later on, but it's not like I dive so deep and I know how this business is going to turn out. This is just a trade to me, like I've been saying. But why do I take on this IPO trade? Why do I go through this hassle? Has it even been profitable? Well, obviously it is. That's why I'm making this video, and that's why I've been doing it myself. But as usual with investments, just because it worked in the past doesn't mean it's going to work in the future. But yeah, anyway, let's just look at the recent results. So I saw this post by moomoo Malaysia that covers the 19 different companies that have IPO'd in Malaysia so far this year. And if we follow my strategy, the best performer so far is this company called Farm Price, which on the first day that it was listed, it went up 70% compared to its listing price, which is pretty insane. Let's say we got 10,000 ringgit worth of shares, we would have gotten a return of 7,000 ringgit in just that day alone. As you guys can see, there are obviously losers as well. The worst one is this company called HE Group, and it went down 24% from its listing price on the first day. So yeah, it's not guaranteed to work, it's not easy, and it's not free money. There's no such thing as free money. The key is to find the right company that's about to IPO. Obviously, the key to investing is just investing in the right company. But how do we know what's the right company? Honestly, we will never know until it happens, but I'll share with you guys my process about how I go through it later on in this video to hopefully find the most likely stocks to do well on the first day. Anyway, you can also see that some of them have performed even better if you held on to these shares. So let's say, for example, the one with the highest return is Master TEC Group. On the first day itself, it lost 7%, but if you held it until now, you would be up a massive 274%. So yeah, obviously my strategy isn't the best. If I got this stock, I would have sold it on the first day for 7% loss. If you guys held on to it, you would have been up 3x, even more than that. So yeah, how you trade this, it'll be completely up to you. I'll just stick to my style because that's what I'm most comfortable with. And I didn't want you guys to think that, this is just a 2024 thing. 19 stocks is not a huge data set for us to conclude that this is a profitable strategy. So what I did was I dug up all the IPOs that happened in 2023. I don't have a fancy visual like what moomoo did, so I'll just share with you guys what I found. So in 2023, there were 32 companies that IPO'd on Bursa Malaysia, and of that, 25 of them, or 78%, closed higher on the first day compared to the listing price. So what this means is basically if you applied for all 32 IPOs and you got all of them, you would have had a win rate of 78%. But it's not just win rate that we want to look at. How big are the wins and how big are the losses? So of the 25 winners, the average percentage gain was 81%, meaning on average, all of these 25 stocks, on the first day, they went up by 81%, which is crazy, right? Of the 7 losers that we had, the 7 stocks that closed lower on the first day, the average loss was 11%. It is still a big amount, but if you compare 11% to 81%, you can see that it's a huge difference, which shows to me that the risk reward of this trade, it's actually pretty good. So all of this sounds crazy, all of this sounds free money, yeah, maybe you guys are like, yeah, I know sometimes I will lose, but most of the times I will win, and when I win, I'll win bigger. This seems easy, right? Well, one thing that we need to consider is that with these IPOs, just because we applied doesn't mean we will get it. So the thing is, most IPOs in Malaysia, they are oversubscribed. So oversubscribed means that, let's say the company has 1 million shares that they want to issue, but investors, they applied for 5 million shares. So there's only 1 million shares available, people want 5 million shares. So obviously that doesn't work, right? So in these scenarios, when this happens, which is actually pretty common, what will happen is there will be a random draw in terms of who gets it, so there will be an element of luck. There's no guarantee that you will get it. So usually, if you think about it, the best companies that are about to IPO, those are the ones that can be the most oversubscribed because everyone thinks the company is good. Everyone wants a piece of the pie. So one flaw in this strategy is that you cannot just blindly apply for every single IPO. The reason that I say this is because what if we apply for every single IPO without doing any research and we only get the bad ones because no one wants it, and we miss out on all the good ones because our luck ran out? So what will happen is, let's say if we did it in 2023, if we had really bad luck, out of the 32 companies that IPO'd, we would have gotten the 7 that lost, and on the end of the day, we would have lost money. So we still need to do a bit of research, and yes, there is an element of luck. Anyway, let me go through what you guys can look for as well as how you can apply for IPOs in Malaysia. So for this part, I'm going to be using the moomoo app. Previously, what I used to do was I used to use Maybank to you to apply for the IPOs, and then if I was successful, I would send the shares to my M+ online account because that's just how it works. You need a broker and you need someone else to apply for these IPOs. But moomoo very recently launched this new product, I guess you'll call it a product or feature, where we can now apply for Malaysian IPOs via the moomoo app. We can use the same money that we have in the app that we use to trade or invest in any of the stocks, and we can then, if we're successful, get the shares in our account. We can sell it whenever we want, just like how we would trade any Malaysian stocks on the moomoo app. If you guys want to sign up with moomoo, then use my link. I'll leave it down below in the description. Moomoo is a really great platform in my opinion. The user experience is really good, and they support both US and Malaysian stocks, which means that we can invest in Malaysian companies, popular ones like Maybank, Tenaga, whatever it is. We can invest in US companies and ETFs, which I do a lot of, and we can also apply for Malaysian IPOs, which is what I'm talking about in this video. If you use my link, you'll also get 150 ringgit worth of vouchers when you deposit 1,000 ringgit, and if you deposit 10,000 ringgit, you can stand a chance to win 0.04 shares of Nvidia, which is worth, I think, 150 ringgit or 200 ringgit. So yeah, if you guys want, use my link, I'll leave it down below. It really supports the channel as well. Alright, yeah, so I'm going to have this moomoo app open now to show you guys how it works. So first of all, what we need to do is you will need to create a CDS account. This is a direct account. If you guys don't know what it is, don't worry, just trust me, you have to open a CDS account. You can do this via the moomoo app. What you want to do is you want to click me. Oh, sorry, you don't want to click me. You want to click accounts, click on your account, click more, and then you can see here CDS account IPO. You're going to click that, and then from there you will go through this process of submitting some details so that you can have this CDS account opened up. Obviously, you guys can see that I already opened my CDS account with moomoo. By the way, right now, moomoo is running a promotion where it's completely free for you guys to open the CDS account. Usually, it will be, I think, 10 ringgit, and this is charged by Bursa Malaysia. So no brokers can really waive it, but I guess moomoo is just covering the fee for us. So yeah, if you guys want to sign up for this, then make sure you do it quick because I don't know when this promo ends. Anyway, this process for me, it didn't take very long. I think it took me like 1 day for them to approve it, and then another business day for them to actually give me my CDS account. So you guys apply for it, it'll just take maybe 2 business days. Anyway, once this is done, what you want to do is you'll then want to click Markets, and then you want to click the Malaysian tab there, and you can see this IPO icon, right? So right now, you guys can see that there are 2 IPOs available in Malaysia, being Ocean Fresh Berhad and Johor Plantations Group Berhad. By the time that this video releases, I think the application date for this both will be expired, but don't worry, there will always be more IPOs. You can even click this to be listed tab to see what's coming up, when they expect to list and all that kind of stuff. But yes, anyway, let's just go back to the 2 available ones and let me explain to you guys how this works. So let's say Ocean Fresh Berhad, this one is one that I'm kinda interested in. So let me click IPO subscription and it goes here. So let me explain this timeline to you guys. The start is basically when we can start applying for the IPO, and then the end is the last day and time that you can apply for this IPO. So if you wanted to apply for it, the last chance that you will have is the 20th of June at 5 p.m. So what I would usually do is I will only apply for it on the last day itself. So let's say I'll do it on the 20th of June in the morning. The reason for this is that there's no extra potential for you guys to get it if you apply earlier, so there's no benefit to applying earlier. And why I do it on the last day is that when you apply for this IPO, they will lock your funds up. So let's say you apply 5,000 ringgit worth of this Ocean Fresh Berhad, they will lock up that 5,000 ringgit until the end of it, and you'll see whether you get it or not. If you get it, then yes, you get the shares. If you don't get it, they'll refund the money to you, but that only comes later. So yeah, you can always just apply on the last day itself. 24th of June is balloting, so that is when they run the lucky draw to see who gets it. And if you get it, on the 2nd of June is the allotment, so 2nd of July, is the allotment. That's when you'll get the shares in your account, but you can't trade it yet because it's not a publicly traded company yet. That will happen on the 4th of July, which is the listing date itself. So that's how this entire process works. I'm not quite sure when you'll get your money back if you are not successful with the application, but I think it should be pretty fast. I haven't tried it yet. Anyway, let's just look a bit more. You can see the issue price here is 28 cents, meaning 1 share is 28 cents. And the minimum share, as usual with Bursa Malaysia, it will be 100 shares per lot. So you need to do at least 28 ringgit, which is why the minimum that they put here is 28 ringgit. So you have your CDS account, universal account. All right, so I'm just going to show you guys how this works. Let's say I try to go for 1,000 shares, 280 ringgit, right? I actually want to apply for this IPO, or maybe do it later. I just need to think about it a bit more. But let's say 1,000 shares, all you have to do is click submit. But before that, like you guys can see, our 280 ringgit here, it will be locked up until the balloting is done. Okay, but anyway, let me just click submit. I've read the terms of agreements. Who reads it? No one reads this stuff. Just kidding. You guys should read it. Put in my password and you guys can see it's done. I've submitted it. I've officially applied for Ocean Fresh Berhad. All right. One good thing about moomoo is that the reason that I did this now, even though I do want to change it later, is that you can cancel the application at any time you want on the moomoo app itself. Previously with Maybank, I've tried it before. If you want to cancel your application for IPOs, you have to visit a physical branch, fill out some forms, and they'll let you cancel it, which is, it is possible, but it's a big hassle, right? Whereas with moomoo, it's a lot easier. So yeah, another reason why I really like this feature. Anyway, moving on now. So how do you guys do research in terms of deciding which companies you should apply for? By the way, just a disclaimer, my strategy for this, like I said, I don't really do a lot of research. I'm a very quick in, quick out kind of guy when I trade this. So maybe if you want to hold it long term, or even maybe if you want to do a day trade like me, you might want to do a bit more research than me. This is just my style, but I'll just share with you guys how I do it. So let's say we have Ocean Fresh Berhad. moomoo has just done it extremely conveniently. So what you want to do is you want to click the News tab, and then you can see this one here by moomoo News, where it says Ocean Fresh Berhad launches IPO, subscription ends June 12th. You can click into that and you get a lot of details. So previously, I used to do this research as well, but I had to do it by looking at the company's prospectus. The prospectus is basically a document that's extremely long, can be more than 100 pages, where the company lists all of the stuff regarding their company and regarding their IPO. We have to look at some key details. I used to go through the prospectus and look for it, but now moomoo has a lot of the key details in the app themselves. I think they write this out. But anyway, let's just run through what we can find here. So if you guys want to see, you can see the prospectus here as well. This is not the full prospectus, just the important parts. But okay, so the first thing that we want to look here is the company profile. So we need to see that Ocean Fresh Berhad, they're an established frozen seafood processor and trader. Interesting, I guess. But what we want to know here is that, is this an industry that you like? Is this an industry that you think have good growth potential? Even though we don't want to hold it for the long term, there are other investors who want to do that. And if they want to do that, it just means that the likelihood that the price goes up is higher, obviously. So yeah, that's when we look at industries. Usually, from my experience at least, the tech companies in Malaysia, they usually do very well, just like the US, I guess, and a lot of people want to invest in them. What I'm not a fan of is real estate. So last year, I applied for some real estate IPOs. I applied for Skyworld. It didn't do so well, and I know Radium did very badly as well. One trick that you guys can look for is that, let's say Ocean Fresh Berhad now, it is a frozen seafood processor, right? So what you want to do is, you want to look at previous IPOs in Malaysia, whether there are any companies that are in a similar industry, and see how it did. If a similar company, let's say a competitor of Ocean Fresh, IPO'd 2 months ago and it did well on the first day, it is very likely that Ocean Fresh will do the same as well. So that's one trick that I use as well that you guys can also implement when you guys look for stocks that you want to apply for. Anyway, moving on from this, there's a lot more information on the corporate profile. I won't go through it. Okay, financial information, as usual, this is important, but I look at it from a very high level. So I would look at stuff like revenue. You can see revenue has gone up since 2020, 94 million, 158, 156, and then 160. So it hasn't been growing ever since 2021, but to me, this is still okay. We can't expect every company to be like, Nvidia growing triple digit every single quarter. It just doesn't make sense. I also look for profit after tax. So you can see here, yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Revenue is the same since 2021 to 2023, but profits have went up from 4 million to 7 million. So even though revenue is the same, they managed to increase profits, which means that basically management is trying to cut costs just to maximize their profits. So this is a good sign to me. And it's one of the things I look for. There's also a lot of other information, just like a standard financial report. It's up to you what you think is relevant to you. And then we also have industry overview. So like I said, industry is kind of important to me. You can see here that moomoo has all of this information. This industry, it grew at a CAGR of 10% from 2015 to 2022. And then I guess they also have some projections. Yeah, down here you can see that it's projected to reach 7.4 billion by 2025. And then this part here, okay, so utilization of profits. This part, it is important. It's basically how they're going to use this money that they're going to get from the IPO. I like it when they use it for business growth. So you can see they want to use it for capital expenditure for a new cold storage facility. That's a good thing because it means that I want to raise money so that I can expand my business. That's obviously a good thing. It means that likely higher potential revenue in the future, hopefully at least. And maybe even in some cases, maybe you can get some cost savings by investing some money now. So this to me is a good sign. I'm not really a big fan of using this IPO money to pay off loans. A lot of Malaysian companies do it. Which means that most of the times we can't avoid it, but I would rather not invest in a company that, let's say, out of all the money that they're getting from IPOs, they're using 70% of it to pay back loans. That's just not, I'm not a huge fan of that. And then there's also this thing called listing expenses. So don't be spooked out by that. That's normal. A lot of companies in Malaysia, they use some of the money from IPOs just to pay the banks, the investment banks, and all those guys who help them IPO go through this entire process. But yeah, this is the sort of the key highlights that moomoo came up with by themselves. This to me is actually good enough. I don't need a lot more information beyond this. It's a lot easier for us to do this via the moomoo app just because they've done this for us. But if you want more information, you can click here, IPOs prospectus, and it will send us, I think, to the Bursa Malaysia page. Yep, it is the Bursa Malaysia page. And you can scroll down here, attachments, prospectus. I won't show you guys what this is, but you can see here. It's 340 pages. I never read through every single one of them, obviously. I don't have time. But if you guys want to, you can just look at some other things that you might want to consider as well. Anyway, the final thing that I want to talk about regarding the moomoo app again, another benefit they have is they have this thing called comments, which you can see for any stock out there, even companies that are already listed. You can see what people think about the company. So I used to do this as well for IPOs. So one piece of research that I think is really good is I used to go to Laoyat Forum, and on Laoyat Forum, people always discuss IPOs, and I think it's really informational. You can actually learn stuff there. I would recommend still doing it. I still do that on Laoyat Forum as well, but now moomoo also has it. So moomoo, you can see users talking about Ocean Fresh, how they feel about it, excited. Yeah, doesn't matter that you're excited. I want like some research. But yeah, sometimes in the comments, you can find good information about this IPO, and it can help guide your decision making about whether you should go for it or not. So yeah, another cool feature of moomoo, another reason why I think it's actually one of the better platforms for us to apply for IPOs and do this trade. So that's all about Malaysian IPOs and my strategy on trading them. They have been pretty profitable to me. Obviously, the biggest challenge now is actually getting the shares. You can apply all you want, but most of the times it can be hard, especially if these IPOs are going to do well. But again, this isn't financial advice, so please don't just try this blindly and then blame me if it doesn't work out well for you. You have to do your own research and then decide on which companies you think will do well, whether it's for the long term or even for the first day as a trade. So far, of the ones that I've managed to successfully get, I've won some. I haven't actually lost any yet, thankfully. The worst one that I got was Skyworld. It actually lost on the first day, but I managed to sell it off for break even. But yeah, that's my experience so far, and I'll continue doing it in 2024. I stopped for a while, but now with moomoo, it's a lot easier. I will probably just continue again. Anyway, if you guys want to sign up for moomoo, use my link. I'll leave it down below. It really supports the channel, and you'll also get rewarded just for signing up and depositing some money when you use my link. So let me know in the comments, would you guys invest in IPOs? And if you've been doing this for a while, let me know if you have any other tips, any other things that you look for in determining whether an IPO would be successful or not. Thanks for watching this video to the end, guys. Give us a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.